Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Aric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. And if you are watching the YouTube video right now, it looks like Angie is getting ready to take a passport photo. And
Why?
Because you just have this blank wall behind you. Okay, now you've moved. Where I've got like my wall of fame and all the country music stars behind me that I've met. But it looks better now. You see that your desk with shelves behind it. But yeah, it just looked like you had a blank wall and you were taking a passport photo. Speaking of passports,
I know.
we're going to have to use ours this week.
What's the countdown? I got to brush mine off. It's been a minute.
Well, when people hear this, it'll be 3 days. But yeah, we're actually taking it. We haven't used our passports.
Yeah, when was the last time?
It's been several years. I think it was my birthday in 21 or 2. I mean, it's been several years. So several years since we've traveled out of the country.
Yeah, it was February before the year we lost Hallie. That's the last time.
Okay. So it's been a long time, three years since we've been out of the country. And so hard to believe that. And so, yeah, we're going to take a Aric birthday / Aric Angie anniversary trip right in the middle of the two and spend some, what I think is much needed quality time together, because the two of us really haven't done that since last year's anniversary trip in April. I don't think we've just like gotten away for a long weekend.
No. Nope. So we promised that this episode, because the last couple have been heavy, is just going to be goodness. So no downer topics.
It's kind of like if you ever listen to K-Love. Angie's talked about K-Love in the last couple of months, that's what she listened to. I started listening to that in 2017 or 18. And every Friday, I used to think it was dorky, but now I see the reason behind it. They do Happy Dance Friday. And you share something good, and then they play some weird music, and you happy dance, and it's fun. And I get the lightheartedness because we live in a world that's difficult. And so if you're waking up on a Sunday morning, listen to the podcast, maybe you're listening on a Monday afternoon and you're kind of blah, the goal of this episode would be to bring you some goodness.
We have a long list. So I'll share. The first thing that comes to mind is I had shared a while back on a podcast that someone that I work with had said, don't let him die twice. And that person, who doesn't want to be named, had also mentioned that he had something for me and want to know if I was going to be in St. Louis a certain time. He was going to be in St. Louis and we just couldn't make it work. So he decided that he would just mail it to me. And so on a Friday night, the package arrived and he said, here's the deal. I want to see you open it and you'll understand why whenever you open it. So he sent me a Zoom link, and you never know, right, what someone is going to send you. So I had no expectations of what this gift could be. And we get on the Zoom call, and it took us forever to open it. Because
when I talk about wrapped, my goodness gracious, this bad boy, I wasn't going to be on the Zoom, but Angie needed my help to hold the box while she would cut things. I mean, it took us, how long do you think it took to unwrap?
Oh my gosh, 10 minutes for sure. Cutting and unwrapping, and then it was bubble wrap. And then once you opened it, you realize also why it was wrapped so special, because the gift was so special. I also failed to mention that he said that he also wanted his son to join the Zoom call. So we get on this call, and his son, who I've never met, was in his car. And then this particular person was on the Zoom link as well. So we get it finally unwrapped. And I mean, it was an insane gift. It was this pencil drawing of Hallie on her horse. I mean, and his son drew it, and his son is an art teacher. It just blew my mind. And I think when you feel like the world is like falling apart, it's not. There are so many beautiful humans. This person is a stranger to me that drew the drawing of Hallie, yet he spent 38 to 40 hours drawing this for Hallie and then apologized that it was like took so long or we did, it's been a while. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the perfect gift. If you were actually thinking about getting somebody something and you feel like too much time has passed, like think again. I said, I actually think this is better because everybody has moved on. It feels like that's what it feels like to the grieving person. And that is such a beautiful, beautiful gift, even if it's 2 years later, because you're not getting things like that. It all comes at once in the very beginning. And then there's silence.
Yeah.
It was incredible talent in drawing. It just blew my mind.
I will say that this was the just unbelievable amount of precision in the work that he did. It feels like the horse, you could almost like touch the fur in the portrait. Like it looks so real. And so just absolutely gorgeous. And I would agree with you as we help other people that are grieving. I think it's a great reminder for us to know that, we could be 2 years into a journey and reach out to someone and go, hey, I see you. I see your pain. I know where you're at. Because it was a wonderful gift and just really grateful for that.
Time's meaningless when you have lost a child. Time isn't irrelevant. It means nothing because it still feels like the day it happened. And so anyway, it was such an amazing gift. Made our weekend last weekend still sort of in awe. The kids were just like, oh my gosh, who did that? Like, did you pay someone to do that? No, it was a random act of kindness.
People listening are going to want to see it.
I know. I'll post a pic on our social media for sure.
Can we talk for a minute about the fact that when this podcast airs, we're in the first days of March and that there has been a change in mid-Missouri where we live in the last 10 days or so that went from a negative 15 overnight for several days in a row and snow to several days of 50s, 60s, even hit a 70 in there. And what the warm weather, the sunshine, and the fresh air can do for all of us. Can we just talk about that goodness?
Well, I feel like I'm coming out of hibernation. I was telling Summer the other day because she's like, I just want to go to the beach. And I'm like, yes, me too. But I share with Summer, like, I think forever that November, December, January, first part of February is just going to be hard months because of the milestones, but also because it's winter. It's winter. And the seasonal depression, sadness, especially when you don't have a lot of sunshine, is a real thing. I was sick for almost 2 weeks. And I was laying there in bed thinking when I was sick, like how much of the lack of energy and just don't want to get out of bed when you're sick is also associated with terrible temperatures. It was so cold. But I was laying there thinking, you know what? If it was 60 degrees outside and the sun was shining, I bet I would get out of bed sooner, even if that meant, go lay by the pool, but still feel like crap. I mean, the amount of value to your health of getting some sunshine is amazing. I mean, it's not even like we're making this up. Like when you increase your vitamin D, it reduces like inflammation in your body. And it's hard to get a lot of that from food. It's like the sun is the best natural source of vitamin D. And it only takes like 5 or 15 minutes out in the sun. Now, I like to be out in the sun a little bit longer than that.
You and me both.
If you are feeling low and the temperatures are higher, go outside and just sit in the sun and just sit with the sun shining on your face to soak up this vitamin D. It will improve your mood, guaranteed. I think, isn't there like some term about sunny disposition?
Yes, there is.
That's where the expression came from, is because it's like so good for your mental health if you could get a little bit of sunshine.
Well, think about when you start a work week and it's like a Monday and it's sunny and 70 versus a Monday
Oh,
that is 54 and rainy. They're completely different kinds of days. And I was having this conversation with so many of my coworkers and even clients this week because I could just feel my own disposition. I had more bounce in my step. I was happier. I was able to handle problems better. I was mentioning it to my coworker, Liz, and she was saying that she was telling her husband, Will, they have a 2.5-year-old and then they have like a 7-month-old. And she's like, our 2.5-year-old, when it was negative 15, was just running up and down the halls in the house. And I was looking at my husband going, I need warm weather to get this child out of the house and to the park. Like, we got to be able to run energy off outside. And it's true. Like,
it's so true.
I've said this, like, even your teenagers, they're like animals. You got to get them outside and walk them. You got to do something with them because even your teenagers are in a better mood when the sunshine is bright and the weather is warmer. And so
you sleep better too. Like that serotonin that you get from soaking up the sun rays, it releases chemicals in your brain and you're more relaxed. It also, especially because, I'm like menopausal. It also, like, getting vitamin D is so important because it helps you have stronger bones. And you need that when you get older, like the whole calcium issues you have.
This is interesting. And I'm just going to keep my mouth
shut. Lower blood pressure. There's all kinds of this. I'm justifying our trip for next week.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought we were the justification, honey. We taking the trip.
Okay. Well, this is just sprinkles on the cake.
Got it. Okay. That works. That works for me. March is great because even just next weekend, daylight savings, you're going to gain more daylight at the end of the day. I read you get 87 more minutes of daylight over the 31 days of March from March 1st through March 31st. So more daylight, sunshine is on the way. And that's good news.
It's good news. I also had somebody reach out to me that's a listener and share that her husband is a police officer at a school and it was reading week and he decided he wanted to read Feathers Matter to the classroom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you just made my day. Could you send me a picture? Because I wanted in my head to see a police officer reading my book to kids. And she sent it and it was so freaking beautiful. So beautiful. Such a powerful picture. Anyway, so goodness.
I love what's happening with your books. And like a lot of things, sometimes things start slowly and they build. And I feel like that's what's happening now that the second book is out. It's like a slow build that will continue. And this is something that when you get to be 80, I think kids are still going to be reading this book and something that Hallie inspired that then you, Mama, were able to write. And it's painful beauty, but it's also going to make a difference for a lot of folks. And so for them to send that photo was great. We do love it. If you know someone, my friend Jamie constantly sends us videos of his daughter reading the book and it's her favorite bedtime story. And so he will send us pictures of her reading it or different things. And so I think that's really cool.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's like my favorite thing is to see kids reading the books, just hear about like what kids say about the books. There's an aspect of healing that comes with that, of like this pain and loss wasn't for nothing. Turn it into purpose. And that can go for any sort of pain that you are experiencing. It doesn't have to be just child loss. It could be any hardship. Like turn that hardship into something that makes it all worth it. And, and speaking of that too, we had that podcast last week around the Gabby Petito docuseries and how triggering it was. We had so many people reach out after that maybe wasn't aware of the story or hadn't watched it yet or had watched it and was like, oh my gosh, like I thought about you guys when I was watching this docuseries. And as hard as and as painful as all of that is, the purpose in the pain too is outreach. And I mentioned that last week, like I have gone a little quiet on it and for a lot of reasons. but that like sparked another level of fuel to be like, I'm not going to be quiet about this. It's the whole let them theory. If you guys listen to Mel Robbins at all and the book she just came out with, it's like, let people have their opinions of what they think happened in that situation or what they think about you and your journey and your fight. Let them think that. Like, you have no control. The only thing that you have control over is yourself, your brand, your fight, how you show up, all the things. And I appreciate the outreach. I appreciate the support. I appreciate that because I have been so vocal about this, that people are more aware.
I would just say for me, I thought it's always affirming when a professional acknowledges. And so I had a counseling appointment this week, and our counselor just brought it up that she had watched it. She had listened to the podcast and affirmed that it was very similar, that it was what we talked about was real and it made sense. And then we had another counselor friend reach out, really validating the things that you were saying as well. So yeah, I'm glad we did that episode. The feedback on it has been very strong and incredible. And so it's something that has to be discussed from time to time, or else we don't actually ever make a difference. And as we've said before, if we can help one young girl or even a boy, I mean, it happens in the opposite too, to get out of a narcissistic relationship, then that's why you share. That's why we share. And so, yeah, it was a good episode. Thank you all for the feedback. We appreciate it.
Speaking of let them and courageous women, I know we never talk politics on here, but
I want to say this before you say this, because someone will be upset that you said this. My wife doesn't do politics. Okay.
No.
She doesn't. So if you think she is one way or the other, she's not a Republican or a Democrat. She's not she's more of an independent, really, because she doesn't really, not her thing. So I just want to say that before you say what you're about to say.
I think it's all criminal. Okay. Sorry. Anyway.
Sorry,
no.
That's not what she was going to say, but she does believe that. So anyway.
I can't do, like, I've never been into politics at all. It all drives me crazy. But it doesn't matter what side you are on. Doesn't matter. But I have such a level of appreciation for badass women and women who also follow the let them theory and do their thing regardless of what people think of them. Like, that impresses the shit out of me. Love it. Love it. I am a girl's girl. I am all about lifting women up, not tearing them down, regardless of their situation. But Trump's press secretary, holy shit. She is impressive. 27 years old. And I mean, I don't even know what to say. She's on my TikTok feed all the time. But just how she shows up, how confident she is, how she doesn't get ruffled at all. And, I watched a little story about her. Like, she did not come from a wealthy family, normal, average family, wasn't even into politics until because it wasn't that she didn't come from like a political family. It was just like wasn't a thing. And it was when she went to college that she started getting more interested in it. And someone said, they had interned for Obama, and she decided, like, well, that sounds interesting. I'll apply to be an intern. And she was an intern for Trump the first time that he was president. Had a baby, and 3 days later was back on with a campaign trail. I mean, insane. And I say this all the time. If women knew, this is why it drives me crazy. I'm on a rant. This is not even in my notes. But if women had the confidence in their abilities that they really hold, it would be game-changing to the whole world. I think that's why the narcissistic stuff drives me up the wall, is because women are amazing humans. Guys are too. But I don't feel like women have the confidence that they should have. They don't have the belief in themselves that they should have. And I have this quote. I shared it this week with my team. I love it. I have had it for a long time. I pull it back out every once in a while. So my favorite quote is, and it has to do with confidence and belief in yourself. is that a bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because her trust is not on the branch, but it's on her own wings. I mean, it's so powerful.
It's not surprising to me that you would love a quote about a bird.
Bird. Right, exactly. But it's like, it goes back to Caroline, Trump's press secretary. Her belief is not, and her trust is not on the branches. It's in her own wings. And I love witnessing that in women. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's all.
That's all we're going to say about that. There's no politics, and I'm not even going to talk about it because I am the political one of the family, and I live and breathe it. So I am not going to discuss any of that. But let's talk about something. You always find the best quotes, whether it's that quote about the bird right there or the one that you posted earlier this week about God and his direction and his protection. And I'll let you just dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, I ran across this one too, and it really resonated with me, is that when you pray for something and God answers it, that's his direction. And when you pray for something and God doesn't answer it, then that's his protection. And we had another grief group meetup this week. And the topic I came up with was the why, because we all struggle with it. Like, why did this happen? Why did God allow this to happen? Why did I have to lose my child? Why now? Why? Why? And I do feel like that, and I talked about this on one of our previous podcasts, of God answered my prayers whenever I ask for him to show me what Hallie sees or show Hallie what we see, and then didn't answer it when we wanted her to live. And I do go back to when I try to make sense of it, and the why is that he didn't answer it because that was God's protection. And we don't have all the answers. We don't know what he's really, truly protecting from. But I do think that you have to keep that in mind. We've been talking about prayer. We've been talking about trusting and all the things. And I think this is just a great summary of when he answers, it's his direction. And when he doesn't, it's his protection. And you just have to trust in that fundamental belief. That's,
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say.
It's really good. You and Summer tried something new this week, which you both loved, and you're going to try again tomorrow.
I love experiences. That is definitely something, like, I believe life is meant to be lived. I don't really even love going to the same restaurant twice because it's like I want experiences. I want to see what's out there. I want to learn new things. And that doesn't always mean that it's comfortable either. But Summer's been wanting to do like hot yoga. And Aric and I have done hot yoga a couple times. And it's her dead week for soccer. But you still need to work out. So last week she was like, Mom, we should do hot works. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And she's like, well, I know, some people that have done it. It's like you're in your own room, kind of. So I don't know if you're aware of hot works, but when Aric and I have done hot yoga, you're usually in a big group. I don't know how many people you think are in the session.
It could be up to 60. To 60.
A lot of people. And, that's why I like Jen's Get Fit, because it's in my home. So, when my balance is off and I don't do the moves quite right, or, I'm struggling, it's in the privacy of my own home. And I love that aspect. There's a FIRE code you could use, FIRE, to get $8 off at Jen's Get Fit if you want the privacy. But I also...
Way to work that in.
I know. I also like to try different workouts. And so the other night, Summer was like, let's do hot works. I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And it actually was super cool. They're open 24/7, and it's infrared sauna that you're in. So, I mean, you sweat, but it's not the heat that you would have normally in like a regular hot yoga studio. And we ended up doing this workout, and we were sweating, and it was like such a great experience for her and I to do it together for the first time. It it was fun. So you want to try something different and you aren't sure about hot yoga with a group, try HotWorks. And they're all over. I mean, I think they have like 500 locations maybe or some. I might be making that up, but I think there's a lot across the U.S. So I asked Summer, I'm like, ooh, look up on the map. Are there any in Florida close to Hallie's house? There is.
Is
so
there?
we're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. So trust your own wings, try new things. That was a good one for us. We enjoyed it and we'll definitely do it again.
Which, when you and I met, we traveled a lot because you like to go to different places. And we bought a house in Florida, so we go to that place all the time, which I love and I wouldn't trade. But I am excited to try a brand new place that you and I, neither one of us have ever been to when we take our little trip together this week.
Yeah, most days, I'm just really focused on getting through the day. So as that trip gets closer, I only look at one day ahead. So, but now that we're getting closer, I am getting excited about it. Start packing this weekend and just to kind of take a deep breath because, our lives are a little crazy. Go, go, go. There's always 20
crazy
things to worry about. There's a long list constantly of things that we need to do. So it'll be nice to get away to a place where we don't have to cook and there's not like a, backyard that needs to be trimmed or, because we go down to Hallie's house, we're doing work, we're piddling, but there's things to do, responsibilities down there as well.
Yeah. And I also feel like we booked a pretty remote place where I'm hopeful that just maybe the cell service and internet access isn't very good so that we can't be
when you say
bothered with
we,
anything.
I'm pretty sure you're talking about me.
Well, I just mean in general, I'm hopeful that it'll be a little bit more secluded because I've had stressful work for the last several weeks as well. And I'm ready.
Yeah.
I need a break. Like I can feel like just all the stress build up and I need a break. And so it's good. And then as everybody knows, like it's good to invest in your relationships. And so I'm excited to spend about 5 days investing in our marriage. And I think that's something to look forward to. So, all right, what do you got to be thankful for? And we'll wrap up all this goodness today.
Yes. I am thankful we have the kiddos this weekend. I always love that. We've got a little afternoon, evening plan with them tomorrow night with dinner. And we're going to do pickleball at the kitchen here in Columbia, which is a cute little place. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to time with the kids before we head out. I am thankful for the mamas in this grief group. As I mentioned, we had a session this week and it's so odd to say this out loud, but it's like, it's heavy conversations, but it feels lighter when you talk about it with a group of moms that get it. And they're all from all over. And it's just so evident every time we talk that we have different experiences and different ways that we're handling the loss of our child or children, because one mom lost both her daughters 5 days apart. It's horrific. But the pain is the same. The pain's the same. And I am just blessed that God orchestrated these 8 mamas in my life. And there's healing in that and just the story sharing. So let's see. What's one of the springtime's around the corner? I'm telling you, I am like, this past week when the weather was nicer, I felt like a new person. And that's a crazy thing too about when you're feeling low through a long season, you don't realize how heavy you're feeling until you don't feel as heavy. And man, the 60-degree weather, I was like, wow, let's go to dinner. Let's go do something. It's like, oh, who am I? Shit, I must have been really down for months,
I may have noticed a subtle shift in your personality, perhaps. It's
Sure.
possible.
I'm sure.
I am grateful this week for the weather as well. That's top of my list. Love it. Put me in a better mood. I could tell it put you and the kids in a better mood, coworkers too. So that was great. I'm grateful for just some great intentional time with several of our kiddos over the last couple of weeks. I've still got one of them that I'm trying to get some intentional time with, but I've had some really good conversations, some really good connections with each of them in different areas. And so grateful for that. I know that it just like our marriage, to develop it, you have to put intentionality into it. The same thing goes when you have kids, and especially when they're teenagers, because those are hard years to connect with them. And so really grateful for that. And then finally, I'm grateful just for the time to get away with you next week. So that's pretty short and simple, but that is it. And I hope that today we brought some goodness to people.
That's right. I'm hopeful that our next podcast, we'll see if this happens, but I'm hopeful that the twins are going to join us. We've been talking about it a little bit, about them sharing their journey, and I think they're ready to
Sure.
be on the podcast. So we'll see if we can get it coordinated in their busy schedules.
Well, that is all that we have for today. And just a reminder that if you want even more good news, that while our calendar says March 20th will be the first day of spring, meteorologists say that March 1st was the meteorological start of spring. So if you want to pretend that it's spring like meteorologists do, you can do that now. There you go. That will do it for this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. We hope you have a wonderful week. God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.